The downtown coffee line at Brew Theory moved like it had a personal vendetta against Zara Malik's morning. She was running on 4 hours of sleep and a personality. Her fit was giving everything it needed to, a chocolate brown oversized blazer layered over a white fitted ribbed tank, high-waisted cream wide-leg trousers, and clean tan platform loafers. Her dark curly hair was half up, half owning the moment, with 2 gold pins catching the weak Tuesday light. One tiny evil eye ring on her right hand. Nothing else. She looked effortlessly put together in the way that actually took 40 minutes. She had one goal. Oat milk courtesy. Then the pitch deck review at 9 a.m. that could finally get her promoted out of junior creative at the agency. The guy in front of her ordered the same thing. Last one, the barista said, already moving. Zara blinked. Excuse me. I literally just ordered that in my head. The guy turned around. He was tall. Annoyingly so. Fitted black mock neck, dark wash straight jeans, low white leather sneakers that were pristine in a way that felt deliberate. His whole look was quiet money, no logos, no noise. Just expensive silence. He had a reusable cup in one hand and his phone face down in the other, like someone who had already decided the world could wait. You did not order it out loud, he said. So it is not really yours. His voice was unbothered. Not rude. Just factual in a way that was somehow worse. Zara stared at him. I was literally right behind you for 6 minutes. He looked at her. Then at his drink. Then back at her. I will be gone in 4, he said, and turned back around. Zara's co-worker Bex appeared at her elbow, wide-eyed. Girl. Do you know who that is? Someone who needs to learn what a line is. Bex grabbed her arm. That is Kai Voss. His family just bought the Meridian Group. Zara felt the words land slow. The Meridian Group. The parent company of their agency. Their actual employer. She looked back at Kai Voss just as he picked up his drink, glanced at her one more time with that same unreadable expression, and walked out the door. Zara stood at the counter. Ordered a black coffee she did not want. The pitch review was in 40 minutes. And something in her chest was doing something she had zero time for. The Meridian Group sent a rep to sit in on the pitch review. That was the email. No name. Just a rep. Zara was mid-slide when the conference room door opened and Kai Voss walked in wearing a slate gray crewneck, dark tailored trousers, and the same clean white sneakers from this morning. He looked rested. Focused. Like he had not spent the last hour replaying a coffee shop argument in his head the way she had. He sat at the far end of the table and opened a notebook. Actual pen. Actual paper. Gen Z watching an old soul in real time. Zara finished her pitch. The room gave polite nods. Her creative director said good work. Standard stuff. Then Kai spoke. The concept is strong, he said, still looking at his notebook. But the emotional hook in slides 3 through 7 reads like you are trying to convince yourself, not the audience. Silence. Zara turned to face him fully. I am sorry, she said, keeping her voice level. Which part felt unconvincing to you specifically? He looked up. All of it. Not because the work is bad. Because you pulled back right when it should have gotten personal. Her jaw was tight. How do you know I pulled back? Because the rest of the deck does not. He held her gaze. Whoever made this knows exactly how to land an emotional gut punch. Slides 3 through 7 are the only place they chose not to. The room was very quiet. Zara's creative director cleared his throat. We can revisit the middle section. After the meeting, she caught Kai in the hallway. He was texting, relaxed against the wall like the building belonged to him, which, technically, it now did. She stopped in front of him. You were right. He looked up. I know. I hate that you were right. Something shifted in his face. Not quite a smile. More like the beginning of one that he was actively choosing not to finish. That is honest, he said. It comes naturally around people who are irritating, she said. He looked at her for a second longer than necessary. Then he said, Zara Malik. Junior creative. 3 years at the agency. Highest client retention rate on the floor. She blinked. You read my file. I read everyone's file. Why? He pushed off the wall, tucking his phone away. Because I do not walk into rooms unprepared. He turned and walked toward the elevator. Zara stood in the hallway, heart doing something completely unprofessional. Her phone buzzed. A calendar invite. Subject line, Creative Restructure Discussion. From, Kai Voss. Time, tomorrow, 8 a.m. No explanation. No context. Just the meeting. And her name on it. The 8 a.m. meeting changed things. Kai offered her the lead creative role on a full rebrand. Not a promotion through the normal chain. A direct appointment. She would report to him. She would have budget, autonomy, and a seat at the table that most people at her level spent a decade trying to reach. Zara sat across from him in the small glass-walled room, hands wrapped around her coffee. The city behind the window was still waking up, all pink and gray and promising. Why me? She asked. He was in an olive military-style jacket today, black fitted tee underneath, dark jeans, the same shoes. He had a thing about those shoes. She had started noticing his patterns, which was its own kind of problem. Because you are the only person in that building who pushed back on me without making it personal, he said. It felt personal to me. He looked at her. That is different. The next 3 weeks were a blur of late nights, contested ideas, and conversations that started as work and ended somewhere else entirely. Kai was not easy to read. He said what he meant and nothing more. But sometimes he looked at her for a beat too long. Sometimes he handed her coffee before she asked. Small things. Quiet things. The kind that do not mean anything until they mean everything. Then Bex came to her desk on a Thursday with that specific look on her face. What? Zara said without looking up. I heard something. Bex. I am on deadline. He is leaving. Kai. The restructure is not a rebrand, Zara. It is a setup for a sale. Meridian is being sold off in pieces. Our agency is one of them. Once the rebrand is done and the numbers look good, he walks. Everyone at the top already knows. Zara stopped typing. Who told you that? Bex hesitated. Marcus. From finance. Zara sat very still. Marcus, who had been passed over for the creative director position last year. Marcus, who had made it very clear he thought Zara's rise was not earned. She looked at her screen. At 3 weeks of work that felt like something real. And she felt the floor shift beneath everything she had started to trust. She found Kai at the end of the day in the creative suite, reviewing her layouts. He was leaning over the table, sleeves pushed up, the city going dark orange behind him. He looked like a person who actually cared about the work. She stood in the doorway. I need you to tell me something true. He straightened up. Looked at her. Okay. Are you selling the agency after this project wraps? The pause lasted exactly long enough to answer the question before he did. That is not the full picture, he said. That is not a no. He crossed his arms. It is complicated. Zara laughed, short and humorless. She picked up her bag from the chair. You hired me to build something you were already planning to dismantle. I hired you because the work matters. To who? He held her gaze. To me. She walked out. Behind her, she heard him say her name once. Just once. She did not turn around. Her phone buzzed in the elevator. His name on the screen. She watched it ring. Then she watched it stop. The betrayal came from somewhere she did not see coming. It was not Kai. She found out on a Monday. Her best friend and roommate Danny had been feeding information about the rebrand to Marcus for 6 weeks. Not for money. For a job. Marcus had promised her a referral to a creative firm in New York. Danny had needed out of her current role badly enough to cross a line she could not uncross. Zara found out because Danny told her. Over cereal at 7 in the morning, like it was a normal thing to confess. "I am so sorry," Danny said, her voice quiet. "I did not think it would affect you like this. I thought it was just corporate stuff." Zara sat with her spoon in her hand for a long moment. Then she put it down very carefully. "Corporate stuff," she said. "Zara. That information almost tanked a project I have been killing myself over for 3 weeks. It ended something that might have been real. And you call it corporate stuff?" Danny had no answer for that. Zara got up, got dressed, and left. She was in a cream-ribbed long-sleeve, low-rise wide trousers in warm beige, white chunky sneakers, tiny gold hoops. She looked put together. She felt like a building with no foundation. At the office, she walked straight to Kai's floor. He was in the glass office at the corner. A navy zip-up, dark trousers, the same sneakers. He was on a call, but he saw her through the glass and ended it. She came in. Closed the door. "The sale," she said. "Tell me what is actually happening." He exhaled. Sat down. He looked like someone who was very tired of carrying something alone. "I was going to sell everything," he said. "That was the original plan. Rebuild my family's portfolio after the losses 2 years ago. Quick asset flip, clean exit. Then I got here and the work you were doing was actually worth something. I went back to my board 3 weeks ago and told them I wanted to keep the agency intact. They said no. I am fighting it." "Why are you fighting it?" He looked at her directly. "You know why." She stood very still. "That is not fair." "I know. You cannot just," she stopped. "You cannot use a person as a reason to blow up a business plan and then tell them about it like that is romantic. I am not telling you to be romantic." He stood up. "I am telling you because you deserved the truth weeks ago and I was a coward about it." Silence. She turned to the window. The city was flat and gray and wide. "If you lose the vote with your board," she said quietly, "what happens? Then the agency gets sold and everyone moves on." She turned back. "What do you need to win the vote?" He shook his head slowly. "Zara. What do you need?" He hesitated. "A completed rebrand with provable numbers. Presented to the board directly. Within 2 weeks." She nodded once. "Then I need access to the full client data. Tonight." He stared at her. "You would do that? After everything?" She picked up her bag. "I do the work," she said. "That is who I am. Do not make it weird." She walked to the door. Kai said her name. She looked back. "Thank you," he said. It came out low, and a little broken, and entirely real. She left before her face could do anything about that. The board presentation lasted 43 minutes. Zara stood at the front of the room in a deep burgundy-fitted blazer, black wide-leg trousers with a fine pinstripe, pointed black ankle boots, her hair fully down, one thin gold chain. She looked like someone who had stopped apologizing for taking up space. She walked them through everything. The creative vision. The client data. The growth projections. The human story behind the numbers. She spoke the way she had been trained not to on slides 3 through 7. Personal. Precise. No walls. When she finished, the room was quiet for a beat. Then the board chair said, "How long until full rollout?" 60 days, Zara said. She did not look at Kai once during the presentation. She did not need to. They voted 4-1 to keep the agency. Afterward, the hallway emptied fast. Zara sat alone on a bench near the elevator bank, head tipped back against the wall, eyes closed. She was completely spent. The good kind. She heard him sit down next to her. Neither of them spoke for a moment. "The agency is yours to run," he said. "Officially. Full creative director title, your team, your call." She opened her eyes and looked at the ceiling. "That is what I wanted 3 months ago. What do you want now?" She turned to look at him. He was close. He looked like someone who had been ready to lose something for a while and was still surprised it was still there. She started. Then she stopped. She thought about Danny, who had texted a real apology that morning. About the pitch deck that had changed her life. About a coffee shop line and a stolen oat milk courtesy and a guy who told her the truth even when it cost him something. "I want to not pretend I do not know what this is," she said. He looked at her. Calm. Real. The kind of calm that did not come from never being hurt. The kind that came from deciding to show up anyway. "Then do not," he said. She held his gaze. He held hers back. Outside the window, the city was doing its thing. Loud and indifferent and completely unbothered by two people sitting in a hallway figuring out something they had been building toward since a Tuesday morning when the last oat milk courtesy changed everything. Zara laughed. Quiet and real and a little undone. "You are still annoying," she said. He almost smiled. "You are still honest." She leaned back against the wall. "So are you." They sat like that for a while. Not rushing it. Not making it a moment. Just letting it be what it already was. The end.